Hey, Cardinal fans, welcome to another edition of This Week in Ball State Sports, our vodcast version number 2 from the Betsy M. Ross Studios in the SportsLink Studios from the Letterman Building. We're joined by Director of Athletics here, Jeff Mitchell, to start us off on This Week in Ball State Sports. Jeff, homecoming was a success and a big win against Northern Illinois in the battle for the Bronze Stalk. Have you slept at all the last 48 hours?
There hasn't been a lot of sleeping, but that's a good thing. And I'm so proud of our football team, and proud of our staff, and for executing what really was a fun homecoming day. But we also have to give special congratulations to staff across campus for a really amazing homecoming week. So it culminated with a football win, and that makes it all better. But we celebrate Ball State the entirety of the week, and what better way to do that than to win the homecoming game, and then certainly winning in dramatic fashion just adds a layer of icing to the cake.
You're still wearing the Ball State colors, of course, and celebrating homecoming. That sock game is elite.
This is Monday morning quarterbacking at its finest, right? We just keep celebrating.
Do you have any extra pairs? We need to have everybody wear those.
That's right. I will work on that for you.
Awesome. I appreciate that. Not just on Chirp Chirp Fridays. We're wearing red every day.
That's right.
Jeff, you mentioned the homecoming festivities all throughout campus. There was a lot going on. What was your schedule last week to enjoy the homecoming festivities outside of getting a pie to the face? I'm going to bring that up every time. And since this is a vodcast, guess what I can do?
I
can show that video. I can show the video of you taking the pie.
Well, that will be fun for our fans to see, no doubt, and certainly fun for my son Carson to relive it. Yeah. So thanks for bringing it up.
Of course.
Busy week. Just a lot of events and meetings. You get to bring people on campus. We had a foundation leadership meeting on Friday, which was really special to celebrate the continued success of our Call to Beneficence campaign. And then we had a big gathering on Friday evening to celebrate Ball State, to celebrate the success of our campaign. And athletics played a role in that. We had a panel to talk about what we're doing, particularly in the area of championship performance, celebrating Eric Foss's gift to the department for the purposes of building the Eric Foss Championship Performance Center. And we got to outline a vision for what we want our championship performance program to look like. And it's inclusive of not only the brick and mortar of the building, but certainly how we're going to develop a first-in-class power and speed program. That's the strength and conditioning side. We're going to work on our sports medicine elements, nutrition, sports science, and then mental health. And so we talked about all of those things, and we still have a lot of work to do. That was the general message to the group that evening, is that we are now in a position to really dive in to plan for some future success in that area and have it be more connected as opposed to it being in different verticals. And now we can have one comprehensive program, and Dr. Lindsey Blom is doing an amazing job in identifying areas where we can improve and putting it all together. And that's been my challenge to her, is to you take it and run with it, lead it. She has embraced that, and here we are talking about it now on a regular basis. And I think we talked last podcast about the significance of mental health, and it really is a critical factor into our success. And let's use Jackson Corbel as an example. He was so eloquent in his post-game press conference when he talked about how he goes through his routine to make these kicks, and he was undeterred by the fact that he had just had a kick blocked in his try before that. And now that wasn't necessarily him. He's trying to make a play, a snap that was low, and it disrupts the timing, but he goes through it, tries to do the best he can. He gets blocked. He didn't waver. He didn't change. And here it is, a monumental kick, right? It's you make this kick, we win. You don't make the kick, we lose, right? I mean, it's
pretty simple.
Simple.
Yeah.
And he took us through that routine. And Dr. Blom was sitting next to me in the press conference, and we both kind of looked at each other, as if to recognize that, okay, here's a young man that is benefiting from whoever is coaching him on that side, whether it's himself or whether he's feeding off information that is being delivered to him, whether he's seeking advice internally or externally. The fact of the matter is he's getting some type of coaching, some type of preparation to help him in those moments. And it's just a shot of encouragement that what we're doing is making a difference. And we need to do more of it to help our 450 student athletes be successful. So it's just wonderful to see those victories, not only in competition, but victories in terms of how our student athletes are preparing, because it's going to be a lifelong success story for them as they continue to become stronger in how they lead and how they perform. And this is the perfect laboratory for it.
What I love that you said there was the building of this championship performance center, because we've talked about it here on the podcast, but you haven't gone that far in depth about all the different sections that are going to be included in it. I think that's a huge kudos to the staff that's putting this together, because that's a vision that is hard to put together. It may be easy to put it on paper, but then when you're actually starting to build out what the building's going to be, you have limited space, right? So you have to make sure that you are cutting in all of the proper amount of space for each one of those pieces that you mentioned.
Yeah, that's right. So, the space will be primarily used for strength conditioning. That power and speed component will have the nutrition element. We'll have the dedication to sports science, just including some technology into that space. The mental health is kind of a different.
Okay.
It's more of a program as opposed to being a dedicated space. So we have space throughout where our sports psychologists and counselors can work with our student athletes, and we work collaboratively with our partners on campus for this as well. And we still got a lot of room to grow in that space. But that's more programmatic than it is an actual space in this new facility. And that was intentional.
Jeff Mitchell, Director of Athletics, joining us here on This Week in Ball State Sports. Jeff, when we're looking at the success of the football program, they have a 10-day window now that they're off before another trophy matchup in the Redbird rivalry. But just from your seat in the Director of Athletics chair, how can a win like that springboard a team season from what you've seen in your experiences?
Well, it's all about confidence. And I thought our team played with a lot of confidence on Saturday. And I think they discovered some confidence playing at Vanderbilt the week before. So I would expect this to continue as we go into this week of preparation. It'll look a little differently. The Monday will come, I guess, on Wednesday of this week. Is that right?
Monday's the new Wednesday.
So they've got a couple of extra days of rest, which is needed right now, and they'll roll into regular cadence of prep work just a little bit deeper into the week. But I think they're going to approach it with a little bit more confidence. And I'm really excited to see them play. It's another trophy game, so there's another reason to be amped up and ready to go.
Hey, and it's at home.
And it is
at home. How often do you get back-to-back trophy games, back-to-back weeks at home?
That's absolutely correct. And it's the first game in what we call MACtion. So we're still waiting as we record this to see what time kickoff is and what ESPN platform it'll be on. But that is coming, and we look forward to having our fans support our student athletes. Of course, it's a big day in our country as well, as it's the general election day. So a lot of activity happening on November 5th.
A lot of activity happening that evening, November 5th, a lot of scoreboard watching in lots of different ways. Jeff, when we look at the scope of what's happening in Ball State athletics right now, there's the beginning of basketball season's about to hit. We have a women's basketball exhibition on the day that this drops, on Wednesday. Men's basketball opens up their season November 4th on the road in Atlanta against Georgia State. Like, basketball season's here.
Yeah,
it's right here.
It's here, and you can sense it.
Yes, you can.
There is certainly where our offices are located in Worthen Arena. You can tell, and that's an exciting part of the year. As a matter of fact, as I walked over to record today, men's basketball is practicing in the arena, and that signals to me that the season must be close, because our teams utilize the Shondell practice facility most of the time, but as the season gets closer, they start to gravitate towards the arena, and the men go on the road, as you mentioned, to play Georgia State, and then our women's regular season opener is November 4th against Old Dominion. So we've got a big week next week with the women's game on Monday. We have football on Tuesday, and then we have the doubleheader for basketball on Friday, November 8th. So it's here. That crossover season is upon us, and I think it's a great time of year.
It is a great time of year. It is. Check out ballstatesports.com for your tickets, and also call 888-BSU-TICKET for any tickets you may want for basketball season. You mentioned the November 4, 5, 8 stretch. Right before that, women's volleyball is finally back home. It feels like they've been on the road forever. They've won 4 straight matches before coming in this weekend against Eastern Michigan at home. We'll get to that matchup in a few seconds. But when you look at what they've done the last 4 matches, they've hit their stride to what we thought this team could be.
That's exactly right. And I credit to Coach Kelly Miller-Phillips and her staff for staying the course. And what's so amazing about going through the course of a season is seeing how teams adjust to different outcomes. And our team has had some highs, they've had some lows, they've had some in-betweens, and yet now we're starting to play very steady volleyball. So I texted Kelly after the wins this weekend, and she said, we are continuing to build. And that's it, right? That's kind of the key, is you just keep stacking those wins on top of each other, continuing to build during the week of practice, continuing to build on what you learn, even from match to match, in a short turnaround between a Friday and a Saturday. And I thought we played really well this weekend, and I think that confidence, that momentum carries into how we'll do at home this weekend. So looking forward to how we compete and how we play as we go down this final stretch of the season. Still a lot of volleyball left in the season, and we're continuing to get back to, I think, where we should be and need to be, and have some momentum as we go into tournament.
And it's a big weekend for volleyball because they play Eastern Michigan. Both teams are 7-4 in Mid-American Conference play. Good to have them back at home in that case. But 4 straight wins for the volleyball program. And I think Ball State likes playing NIU this year. Two wins in volleyball, 1 in football, and then golf was in a tournament earlier this year where they beat NIU as well. That rivalry is only going to continue to heat up, it sounds like.
It will, and it's a great rivalry. Talking about men's golf real quick.
Yeah, we can't forget about them.
They just had a tremendous top 3 finish in the White Sands Invitational in the Bahamas. And yes, NIU was in that tournament and finished behind the Ball State Cardinals. Yeah. But Mike Fleck and that team, I think they haven't necessarily had the fall they expected, but they've played really well in the last couple of tournaments, and I think that is what Coach Fleck was looking for. And so he's really excited as now they go into a break. The guys will play in individual tournaments. I'll get that right. And same as the women. The women are now in that off season between the fall and the spring, and they'll play in some individual tournaments. And that just gets everybody ready for the spring once that season rolls around. So happy for men's golf and the way they finished the fall, and certainly happy for women's golf the way they finished the fall as well.
Carter Smith had a -8 day.
Right.
Yesterday.
Right.
That is, or on Saturday.
Right.
He had a -8 on Saturday. That is a program tying performance. That is incredible.
Yeah, and the overall round for the guys was a school record as well. I think they were -26.
That's playing.
That's playing.
That's golf.
I will never see that.
No, I won't either. There's no way. There's no way. Jeff Mitchell joining us here on This Week in Ball State Sports, talking men's golf, women's golf as well. We've hit on women's volleyball, football, basketball starting up here as well. Jeff, before we let you go here, is there anything else you want to let Ball State fans know here on the podcast?
Well, we appreciate the support over homecoming. It was a marvelous week, a marvelous day, game day on Saturday. Great spirit in the tailgate lots, and that spilled over into the stadium, and that energy helped us win. And so as we look ahead to our final 2 home games of the year, the first one of which is against Miami on November 5th, look forward to that same energy. And I realize it's a different day of the week, but your support matters. And as we roll into the conclusion of volleyball season, as we have more matches at home there, and the beginning of basketball season. Next week is a big week. Really starts this weekend with volleyball, carries into basketball season starting, and then we have volleyball at the end of next week as well. So a lot of great home events here in Muncie for the next 10 days, and look forward to seeing everybody there, and we appreciate the support, and look forward to continuing our momentum as we go.
We also can't forget cross country hosting the Mid-American Conference Championships on Saturday, November 2nd. That is a big deal for them to host when they're doing extremely well.
Yeah, it is a big deal, and I know Coach Wheatley is excited about the opportunity to host our campuses as well, and a special shout out to our facilities group that is paving the course. Not literally paving it. I guess it's more creating it on campus, which is a little bit different than what we would normally do and typically have it at a different venue. But it's right off of McGalliard, and you'll see a lot of really fast human beings running on Saturday morning. The race starts at 10 o'clock, so looking forward to it.
You talk about paving. They literally did repave the track, though.
They did.
And that's complete.
They did. So really excited about that, too. It was a much-needed upgrade, and we're continuing to do things to invest in our programs. And this is just shy of a $2 million project that we've been able to put in place now for the beginning of the track season for this year. And as a matter of fact, I got a text from Coach Wheatley saying that they trained on it for the first time.
Oh, that's
over the
a
weekend,
good feeling,
right? So I couldn't tell who was more excited, whether it was the student athletes or Coach Wheatley, the way he was describing that first workout. So I'm really pleased for that team, and the future is bright with Coach Wheatley guiding that cross country and indoor and outdoor track program.
Well, Jeff, we appreciate you joining here on This Week in Ball State Sports. Thank you.
Thank you, Mick. Go Cards.
That's Director of Athletics Jeff Mitchell joining us on This Week in Ball State Sports. Coming up here from the Betsy M. Ross Studios here from SportsLink and the Letterman Building. Head football coach Mike Neu joins us next.
They fly down the court and fly through the air.
Right to left, the shifty guard pulls up straight away, three, sinks it.
And we fly with the Cardinals.
Straight away, Trey lets it loose and buries it.
This is your home for Ball State Cardinals basketball.
Drives baseline left, he throws it off the window and it drops in.
All the action all season long is right here.
We're back inside This Week in Ball State Sports, and we have head coach Mike Neu of Ball State football after the Battle of the Bronze Stalk on Saturday. Coach, appreciate you joining us, and have you slept at all?
A little. Yeah, certainly it was a lot of fun Saturday night, just celebrating that, and obviously so much credit to our players, for just staying in there all the way to the end.
There's a lot that we can dissect from this game, and I kind of want to just start at the very end of the game with the Jackson Corville kick. It's a 52-yarder. You put him out there to kick a 50-yarder to set a new career high, and then with 5 seconds left, he goes and drains another career high. What was running through your head as you sent Jackson out there?
Never for 1 second that I waver or not think that Jackson was going to make that kick. He is as tough as they come mentally. So, obviously imagine how difficult that is. If you're him, you're going out there. The previous kick was blocked, but it tells you how much trust that he has in the protection with the guys up front. It tells you how much trust he has in Tucker to snap the ball. Tells you how much trust he's got in Brian to get that thing down. And he delivered, man. And obviously he is as tough as they come. And, I think it was fitting because obviously it was a 52-yarder on the road a year ago, where we came up just short at Bowling Green, but to see how hard he worked all off season to put himself in a position that the next time that opportunity presents itself, I'm going to make sure I'm even stronger. And to his credit, man, it was awesome. Now, was hopeful that we didn't have to go through 2 different heart attacks there. We celebrate, and then we get called off the field with a whistle to do it all over again. So just really proud of the guys. You're never out of the fight, and I think that really is what showed up for us at the end of that game.
That has to be an agonizing, there's 2 seconds left on the clock. You come back, and the celebration had already started. People storming the field. For you, what were those last 2 seconds like?
Just what you said, agonizing. Like I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe that there was still time left on the clock. We were on the road a year ago in the same situation, a shorter field goal with the same amount of time on the clock, and the clock ran out and it was over. So naturally was a little bit frustrated with that piece of it, but it is what it is. Can't change that now. Obviously we had to regroup Obviously, it was a great job really on the squib kick, for Carson to deliver that and make it very challenging on them. And then obviously we had to go out there for one more play defensively. So, yeah, and obviously, instantly you draw back to when that happened, the end of that Western Michigan game and the MAC West championship game here at home. And naturally you're going, man, we got to be great at defending this because we saw how crazy that was that night.
Let's go back to the plays that set up the Jackson Corville kick, because there were some very heads-up, magnificent plays. First off, Gilly gets down quickly to save as much time as possible, and then catches a 34-yard pass from Caden that was placed only where Malcolm could catch it, and he brought it in.
Takes two to tango there. Obviously it was a great throw, giving Malcolm a chance, but on the other end of that, you got to make the catch as well. And so for Malcolm to make the biggest catch of his career, such a critical time in the game, and then, like you said, to go down. Obviously, we burned the first time out. That was huge because that's really, that's when you knew, okay, we got a chance. We got a chance here, and so, very smart play by him.
How far out were you willing to be okay with Jackson kicking a field goal?
We discussed it. Like, had we not had that completion to Tanner there, that 5-yarder to him, we were still in a situation where we were prepared to send Jackson out there knowing, man, this is the opportunity. And you know how it is. You're adrenaline. You're at home. And listen, I've seen him, in practice. I've seen him when he's been out there by himself in the middle of Schumann Stadium, pounding 55-yarders and, plenty of room to spare. And so we were prepared, had we not gotten that 5-yard gain, to still send him out there. But definitely just a comfort level when you got, boy, there's 5 more yards right there, just a comfort level and knowing that, okay, we're just that much closer.
Was the kickoff return by Malcolm when he went down at the 26, was that designed as well, or did he just make that choice?
No question, because you knew they weren't going to kick it deep and give us a chance to fair catch it. They were going to keep the ball on the ground. They were going to squib it, so it was a great job by him fielding it, knowing that, okay, I can get a few here, but then I got to go down to save time. Time was super critical. Yes, we knew we had 2 timeouts, but yet the time piece of it was critical. So he did a great job, a very smart heads-up play by him.
Without going into too much here, do you have a 15-second playbook where you go, say, we have 15 seconds to go X amount of yards?
Well, you're limited, man. You got to go 4 verticals, and you got to try to see what they're going to do. One thing you're thinking, okay, is if they're going to play, hey, are they going to protect the sidelines? Well, we still had 2 timeouts, so the sideline piece was really not relevant at that point. It didn't matter. It was just trying to get a chunk. What's the best way to get a chunk? Naturally, you're thinking, okay, Tanner running down one of the seams, if he can get a bender there, depending on what they're playing coverage-wise, or he can rip one into them in a tight window there, that's part of the process. Obviously, if you got a situation on the outside, it was just, again, a great throw by Caden, giving him a chance. But, the first play call that came out of Coach Elliott's mouth was, we got to go 4 verts right here, and we got to try to get a chunk no matter how it happens. And when you go 4 verts, at least there's 4 guys down the field. Do we have a bender in one of the seams? Do we have a chance on one of the verticals on the outside? So, again, it's just a great throw by Caden to give Malcolm a chance. And then, again, Malcolm coming down with the biggest catch of his career.
Was there anything said to Caden before they took the field that last drive?
No, we practice 2-minute every Wednesday. And we created different scenarios. We put some different scenarios on the clock where we tried to make it challenging in practice, and we tried to make it a competition. Beyond, we've had some 3rd down competitive periods on Wednesday. Offense versus defense. You get 14 snaps and 3rd down, and whoever the winner is, they get the better 2-minute scenario at the end of practice. And so we've tried to make it competitive. But at the end, Caden's been in that situation so many times. Two drives in that Central Michigan game, one before the end of the first half, one at the end of the game where he took us 97 yards. I don't worry about him maintaining his composure, being as tough as nails, making a good decision. He believes in himself. He believes in the guys up front. And, obviously that was a hand we were dealt. We still had 2 timeouts, which was great. So we were to be able to preserve 2 timeouts. We had to have the 1 timeout that we used to buy Ethan Crow back into the game after his helmet was knocked off, which should have been a hands to the face on the defense there, but wasn't called, so we needed to burn a timeout because it was a critical time to buy him back into the game. But being able to still have those 2 timeouts was big there, especially for that end-of-game deal.
I'm glad you brought that up about Ethan and that timeout, because Chris and I on the broadcast had talked about, Chris had mentioned, hey, I think Coach just took that timeout to get Ethan back into the game. That seemed like a critical point in the matchup.
Well, it is, and it's a tough situation for Isaac Lucas, their backup center, to come in there. There's no time to get some snaps on the side before you run in there. So for his first snap to be in that situation at a critical moment in the game was too important. So, obviously felt the need to burn a timeout. There was even a discussion. I could see Tarantayo on the field like, hey, let me go to center. Let me go to center. You know, I'm in the game. I've been loose. I've been playing a bunch of snaps here. So, but it was too important, and we needed to use the timeout to get him back in.
Head coach Mike Neu joining us here on This Week in Ball State Sports, recapping the big win in the Battle of the Bronze Stalk against Northern Illinois, also on homecoming. Mike, this was a game right from the beginning. Your offense drove down the field, got 7 points. There's been several drives to open up games from your offense that you've been able to march down and score touchdowns. How have those opening drives helped set the tone for this offense the last couple weeks?
I think it's important from a confidence standpoint, knowing the style of play. Style of the game was going to be both against Vanderbilt and against Northern Illinois. We knew that, possessions were at a premium. Northern Illinois' time of possession. This is the first game this year where they've lost the time of possession battle. So we knew it was important, and that's why the decision was made. Now, they won the coin toss and deferred, so obviously you take the ball, and great job by our guys executing because we wanted to get it started, man. The physicality piece, making sure that we came out and without question knew who's going to be the most physical team on the field. It's easy to talk about that, but your guys, especially in the trenches, are the ones that have to set that tone, and our guys did a great job. I think it was awesome to have a few of those big runs right out of the gate at the beginning of that drive, and then to be able to finish that off with a great what a great catch by Tanner in the end zone right there, and certainly for Caden to give him a chance.
2 touchdown catches for Tanner Koziel from Caden Samanza. Just looking at some of those big runs you mentioned, the start of that drive, Braden Sloan, Vaughn Pemberton go back-to-back to open that thing up. Vaughn led the team in rushing, had a career-high 69 rushing yards. What have you seen from him to get back and to be in a piece where you can trust him to go get those yards?
Yeah, and he got dinged up. When we were on the road earlier at Central Michigan, he got dinged up, was limited. So to be able to see Vaughn work himself back into the rotation, splitting some time, getting snaps alongside of Braden Sloan, and really feel like that 1-2 punch for us is going to be needed as we finish out the remainder of the season here. And both those guys had really productive carries, ran hard, ran physical, ran tough, grinded out some tough ones, and most importantly, they both did a great job of taking care of the ball. So it was great to see Vaughn work himself back into the rotation the way that he is right now, and I know that was a big confidence boost for him, having his best day as a Cardinal.
Mike, you talk about confidence booster, 3 turnovers forced by this defense in 3 very different ways. How did you see the defense compete in that turnover battle?
We're getting better every week defensively. Those couple of those early season non-conference games set us back in terms of being able to build any confidence and played against good opponents, but we are getting better every single week, starting to play really good team defense, starting to play really good team football, which is important. Obviously we went into this week going, it's a 5-game season. Now it's down to it's a 4-game season, and you got to make every one of them count. But our defense is really starting to play well and starting to play a lot of good football, and we just got to keep that going.
Offense had 10 first downs on third downs. You guys went 10 for 17 on third downs against NIU. They had only given up 5 third down conversions on 49 attempts. They were best in the country. You doubled that. What was working on third downs?
Well, obviously it was a great challenge. You mentioned that they were the #1 team in the country on third down going into the game. So when you look at their third down plan and you watch every single snap of third down that's been played this season, and we felt like the best plan of attack for us is to have a mixture of playing with some tempo where, they had a good pressure package, they had a good rush package where they would sub some guys in, or at least going into the game, a majority of this guy's snaps were just on third down. So you look at that, you watch PFF, and you watch the number of snaps that they played. So we knew it was going to be important to mix in some tempo, to play fast, to not allow them to substitute. Then we also wanted to rely some on the RPO game, and sometimes we're on 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7. It can be a little bit uneasy to say, hey, man, the best thing for us to do is to run the football right here. Starts with Caden making great decisions. Obviously, Coach Elliott, Coach Lynch, Coach Johnson, the offensive staff did a great job of coming up with a plan. You work hard to put the best third down plan together for your guys, but Caden Samanza really made good decisions, really good discipline, because sometimes, naturally like, gosh, we got to throw it right here. I got to pull it, and I got to throw it on an RPO in order to get a first down. So he really showed good discipline, good maturity that way, because that was going to be an important part for us to sustain drives, stay on the field, and ultimately for us to win the time of possession of almost having the ball for 35 minutes was critical.
Mike, I think when you say you were comfortable throwing a redshirt freshman quarterback in with an RPO on 3rd and 7s, I think that's a lot of trust that's right there. How have you been able to see that trust grow? I know we've talked about that, but in those situations against that type of defense, like that's big trust.
It no question is, and I've said this before, but he is so mature beyond his years, and what he knows football wise, and really just his second year of college is remarkable. Man, he understands defense. He understands what teams are trying to do. He's good at explaining what he saw. There was a couple looks that they did a good job of holding the disguise before the ball was snapped, and he came right off the field and communicated to Coach Lynch. I ended up handing the ball off here because it looked like, just based on his footwork, that they were getting ready to show this look. And so, and he was exactly right. And so that takes film study. That takes film study. That takes your, studying the players that we're going against. And he spends a lot of time. It's not easy to do that because when you're young, you think you think you got all the answers. You just want to go out there and you want to play. But it takes a lot of work in a meeting room by himself, studying the plan, studying the look, studying the formation cut up, studying 3rd down. And he does a great job with that, takes great notes, and he's a very diligent student of the game that way. And I think his hard work is paying off.
We had Caden on our pregame show for the radio a couple weeks ago, and he said he grew up watching Drew Brees. Mm-hmm. And, of course, you coached Drew Brees as the quarterback's coach in New Orleans. Are there attributes that you were able to say Drew's playing style can work for a guy like Caden, or is it just he watches him, that's great, all that kind of stuff?
I think, I'm always careful to make any kind of comparisons that way. There's a man in Drew Brees that played at a high level for so long because what he did behind closed doors when no one's watching, his process was better, has to be better than anybody's that's out there, or it's not better than anybody's that's just as good. Mm-hmm. And so that was the secret to what made him so great, is because nothing ever changed from Monday to Saturday to get himself ready for Sunday. I see a lot of those same qualities. I've tried to preach to all of our players, like the faster that you can get yourself a process that works for you, and I understand every semester that might change because your classes are different. But the faster that you can get yourself a process that works for you, and I think it helps in Caden's situation that his classes are online. And so he's got to get his work done, and he's got to show great discipline that way. But he's bought into that, man, and he's one of the more talented throwers that I've been around. He locates the ball at a high level. He's got a lot of confidence. He throws such a catchable ball to the wideouts, the tight ends, the backs. He's always going to put it in a spot where they got a chance to make a play. And so, that's the thing about him, and he's got deceptive mobility. Mm-hmm. He's one of those guys that can hurt you, pull it down on a run and get a first down if you need him to. But throwing on the move is kind of a hidden gem, if you will, for him. And so, in some ways, it's natural you want to make that comparison because they're both roughly 6 foot. Right. Caden's carving a nice path for himself so far, and he's just got to keep working hard. He's very humble. He's a hard-working guy, and he's got a bright future ahead of him.
Not to date you, Mike, but you didn't have online class options.
I didn't have online class options. I tell my guys all the time, here's what was awesome. My final year of football here, nobody would want to hear this, but I had golf class and football. I had worked. Now, back then, they would allow you to take that. Now you have to have a full semester. So I went to golf, hit some balls on the range. It didn't matter if I shanked them because
so
after
you get
I was
an A no matter what.
How far you hit it. Yeah, it was showing discipline. I was working on what the instructor was asking, but a lot of time on football that senior year, which was great. So, those options weren't available back then, and probably good. I probably needed to be in person for my classes and do a good job that way.
Hey, we'll leave it right there. Mike Neu joining us here on This Week in Ball State Sports.
Yeah, no more academic questions.
Yeah, we'll keep it there. Homecoming a success, Bronze Stock matchup a success. Ball State's won the last 3 Bronze Stock matchups. Are we going to have any Bronze Stock matchups that aren't like just a heart rate going like this every single minute of a game?
I mean, I shared with the guys before the game, and some guys were here already then, but the last 3 games, forget Saturday for a second, but the last 3 games came down to the last play of the game. That's crazy. And then for that to unfold and be the exact scenario again on Saturday afternoon, it's hard to describe that. You've probably done more research than me. I'm not sure if there's another series or another a trophy game or anything like that where that in fact has happened 4 straight years now. And so, but that's a credit to this conference. That's a credit to this matchup. And, tell the guys all the time, and we are going to have to play 60 minutes, every bit of that, not 59, 45, because that wouldn't have been enough. So it's going to take 60 minutes, and we got to have our best football at the end when it matters the most. Don't blink, whatever adversity happens. And that's really where the credit lies as much as anything else. Nobody blinked on our sideline. Nobody blinked on our sideline. When we got down, there's 15 seconds left. I'm sure probably everybody, if they're being honest with themselves, everybody in the stadium probably said, oh, this does not look good. This does not look good. But you trot out there a group of guys that believe, and you're never out of the fight. And boy, they went out on the field and made it happen.
I think the Washington Commanders took inspiration last night from the Ball State Cardinals, going with a couple seconds left, winning the game.
Was that not unbelievable?
That was crazy.
I turned my back. My wife had just finished making dinner. I was so excited to dive into the ribs that she just smoked on the smoker.
Okay.
And I couldn't wait. And I turned my head, and Chase, my youngest son, was like, no way, no way. I'm like, what just happened? I turned my back. No way.
And in that moment, you learned to never stop watching.
Yeah, because I thought it's over. It's over. And then for him to heave it, because he was standing with his foot on the 35-yard line, I didn't have that throw, so maybe I just was assuming like, that's a long throw right there, but he ripped it, 65 yards like that. And then, well, that's football. You practice that every week, in hopes that, if it does get into that situation, and you always have that guy in the back, that, if the ball is tipped, that you got somebody, you try to get him stationed, placed throughout the end zone there, where you got a guy on the right, on the left, in the front and the back, so that, no matter what happens, that you're ready if that thing is tipped in the air. And boy, that was unbelievable.
Head Coach Mike Neu joining us on This Week in Ball State Sports, wrapping up conversation on the Bronze Stalk win against Northern Illinois, a 2-point game. Mike, the team has played in now 4 conference games. All 4 of them have been 1-score games in a 2-2 conference record. I'm looking ahead to Miami. I know that there's a 10-day break between games. With that kind of a break after that kind of a win, how do you balance keeping the momentum from a win like that and also making sure you're ready and have that time to get some rest?
Yeah, we need a break, because we got some guys that are truly playing like warriors, man. They're beat up. They're doing everything they possibly can throughout the week in the training room and the weight room, going to the pool to do everything they can to get themselves as good as they can be for Saturday. And at no point in time at this point in the season is anybody feeling their best.
I mean, you're not either.
No,
right?
I had a few wounds the other night that are. I'm excited that I got those wounds, but it was a fun locker room too. But in saying that, Sunday we came in yesterday, and we wanted to make sure and have a team meeting to recognize some performances, hand out some awards. But really, we gave them the rest of the day off yesterday. No lifting, which we normally lift the day after the game. We didn't have any meetings O&D wise. We got them out. Today is a normal, Monday, if you will, for lack of better words, because it's not Monday, as it, these are all bonus days right now. So just taking advantage of recovery. We'll have a bonus practice tomorrow where we're really focused on some of the younger players in our program, spending a lot of time with them, doing some individual technique stuff, a 7-on-7, a team period for those guys. Some of the older guys that have been playing a lot of snaps, we'll have some recovery stations set up tomorrow. Coach Winger, Chase Britt have done a great job of getting that plan worked out, where we're having some be in the weight room, some in the training room, some perhaps in the cold tubs, but we want to make sure that we're taking care of those guys. And standing on the practice field for an hour and 15 minutes would be counterproductive. We can have them doing something extra recovery-wise. And then we get into, what will be, somewhat of a normal but not normal routine, because now it totally shifts. Now you're midweek action. So Friday is now Tuesday. So our first official work day, if you will, for Miami would be on Friday, and that would be a normal Tuesday. And then you get into Saturday, that's a Wednesday. So it's goofy that way, and the best plan of attack is really just put on the TV when they come in. Today's Tuesday.
Right. Just
don't even tell them the day. Don't tell them the date, nothing. Just when they come in Friday, it'll just say Tuesday on the screen.
And then when they leave, it says whatever date needs to be to go to the right class.
You got it. The best part about Maction is the Saturdays and Sundays when you don't have to worry about crunching your schedule, class conflict guys that have to leave practice early to get to class.
That's underrated. That's a big part of this.
I'm telling you, like that's a small victory there when you say, man, we don't have to worry about losing anybody, especially on Wednesday, which is Saturday. I know it's goofy, but stay with me. That's a heavy day for situational work. 3rd down, red zone, 2-minute. coming out, short yardage, all those areas that you work on. And so we typically have to adjust that day because we have a handful of guys that have to leave at 10:30 for an 11 o'clock class. So now Saturday we'll be able to have them there, and nobody's got to rush out and leave, which we got to use that to our advantage.
Oh, Mike, we appreciate you joining us here on This Week in Ball State Sports. Good luck in another trophy matchup, this time the Redbird rivalry coming up with the Redhawks and the Cardinals on Tuesday.
Yeah, I always appreciate being with you. Thank you.
That's head coach Mike Neu joining us on This Week in Ball State Sports. We'll have more coming up from the SportsLink Betsy M. Ross studios in the Letterman Building.
They fly down the court and fly through the air.
Right to left, the shifty guard pulls up straightaway three, sinks it.
And we fly with the Cardinals.
Straightaway Trey lets it loose and buries it.
This is your home for Ball State Cardinals basketball.
Drives baseline left, he throws it off the window and it drops in.
All the action all season long is right here.
Hey, Cardinal fans, we're back inside This Week in Ball State Sports, and the men's golf team just got back from a trip in the Bahamas, their best fall tournament of the year, and we have Carter Smith from the men's golf team joining us. Carter, really appreciate you joining us, and hopefully you've been able to recover a little bit after the late trip coming back.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, I did absolutely nothing yesterday. Had a nice, relaxing day.
So you guys got back at 2 a.m. after a tournament in which you shot minus 26 as a team, right? That
Yes, sir.
Program record. What did you see from the group down there that just helped put that team in the position to do what you did?
I mean, I think we just played free. I mean, I feel like we played pretty tight most of the semester, and it kind of hurt us. But I think we just kind of went down this week and just tried to play free and give it the best we had.
Was there any type of incentive from your team to be like, hey, this is our final fall tournament, we want to have a springboard to the spring, or was it just let's go out and compete?
I mean, I think we were just tired of playing not very well. I mean, we knew we were a lot better than we had been playing and where the rankings show and everything, not that we're trying to get caught up in that. But, I mean, we obviously had a pretty successful year last year, and we know we're a lot better than we showed most of this year so far. And we were just kind of tired of that and just wanted to go in and have a good year and then kind of regroup for next spring.
I think people overlook the fall from a men's golf schedule just because the competition with the MAC is in the spring, but it feels like that from the fall season, it matters quite a bit to make sure that everything is lined up.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely put ourselves behind the eight ball a little bit. But, I mean, at the end of the day, at this point, we're trying to put ourselves in the best position when it comes to the MAC championship in the spring. So, I mean, we just got to kind of move past that now and just build from it.
For you personally, Carter, you shot a -8 to tie program record in one of the rounds. What specifically was going well for you in that round?
Yeah, I mean, I was just hitting it really well. I mean, I'd still definitely. I mean, everybody always says they leave shots out there, but I mean, it was just a pretty smooth round the entire way through. And I was the entire day. I got off to a hot start, and I was just trying not to get caught up in a number or anything, and just take it one shot at a time. And I mean, I don't think I had a par putt outside of like 3 feet the whole day. So, I mean, it was pretty smooth the whole way through.
And it seemed like the team took that and ran with it as well. So all your teammates were picking it up too.
For sure, yeah. It was a good day for us. I mean, especially, I feel like Gavin had a really good day. He's had a really good semester. As he and Happy both, as freshmen coming in. I'm really proud of those two guys and really looking forward to what they're going to do for us the next couple of years.
I'm glad you brought that up because this is a pretty veteran-heavy team, but then you have Gavin and Happy that have come in and been part of this team. I want to get to the freshmen here in a moment, but from the upper class group, how did you see that group kind of come together for that tournament specifically and say, hey, we've had enough of what happened earlier this fall?
Yeah, I mean, I still don't think that the three seniors we had out there played the best that they could have. I know they have a lot more in the tank. I think all three of them, like, they've all shown good moments this fall. But, I mean, like, Braxton, for example, he said, sorry, he said he was hitting it really well all week, just couldn't make any putts, and that's just how it goes sometimes. But I mean, they fought the whole way through. I know Cash, in a couple of rounds, like came back late in the round, like he got off to a rough start and then made 3 or 4 birdies coming in, and like especially that last day, like I know he and Braxton both either birdied their last hole or the second to last hole, and it was really close between us and Maryland. And it was nice to get that extra win with those guys coming in.
That's a really good competition field too. There was no joke with who you all had to take back up against.
A lot of Power 5 schools. It was a good week for us.
So the freshmen, Happy and Gavin, what have you seen from those two that have come in and done some damage?
Yeah, I feel like they have come in and just played really well poor, all things considered. Like, I know Happy early on in the year in the those 2 individual events, the one we hosted and the one at Purdue, like, he had chances to win both of them. And then Gavin, especially, like, here and the last couple weeks, he's shown some really, really good rounds. And, like, he helped us a ton this week. And I'm really looking forward to see what they can do for us moving forward.
When you see what their growth has been like, what have those 2 done to put themselves in great positions this year?
Yeah, I mean, like, Gavin especially, like, I've known both of them playing junior golf in high school. But like, Gavin, I've seen him progress so much over the last couple of years. His short game especially is just tremendously better than it was 2 years ago. But I've seen both of them grow a lot throughout the semester and just be more confident in themselves, just kind of just know how it is to play college golf, because it's a different game than it is in high school. And it's really exciting.
Carter Smith here joining us on This Week in Ball State Sports, talking about the men's golf team and the trip to the Bahamas after a program record minus 26 score. Carter had a minus 8 on a single day to tie a program record. Carter, when you look at your individual game throughout the fall, you said you've been trying to get to a consistent point this fall. What have you noticed from your standpoint that you've been able to work on the most to get to that spot?
Yeah, I mean, the first 3 events were pretty pathetic out of me, I feel like. I think a lot of it was, I definitely made some physical changes. Like, I made a minor grip change a couple weeks ago.
What does that look like for you?
I just moved my right hand just maybe a quarter of an inch more, just a little bit weaker.
Okay.
I mean, that helps a little bit, but honestly, the biggest thing I feel like is the mental aspect of it. I know early in the year, I don't know if it's expectations or what it was, but I'd really be getting on myself about bad shots or bad holes, and I mean, easier said than done, but you obviously have to be able to move past that and work on the next shot. And that's something I really focused on the last 2 events, I feel like.
Absolutely.
And it definitely helped.
How much does Coach Fleck help out in those cases? Because he's been doing this for a long time at Ball State, and knowing that, hey, maybe the fall wasn't the start that we wanted, but let's finish this thing strong.
Yeah, no, I mean, I feel like he's really good about that, working at like an individual level and figuring out like what everybody needs to do specifically, because like obviously the first couple of events weren't quite what we wanted, but I mean at the end of the day it's a pretty individual game,
right?
So like what I might be struggling with is different than what the other guys are struggling with, and so it's just a matter of like breaking that down and figuring out what each guy needs to do differently.
How many water slides did y'all go down in the Bahamas?
Oh my gosh, too many. Way too many.
I can envision Cash with the GoPro.
Oh gosh, yeah, it'd be Braxton.
It'd be Braxton.
Oh
Okay,
yeah, I've
okay.
never seen that guy more excited in my life.
So he just keep going?
Oh, he was running around the whole park the whole week.
That's
It was
so
a good
funny.
time.
What part of the Bahamas did you guys stay? Did you stay on the resort next to the course?
Yeah,
Okay.
Atlantis. It was pretty
Atlantis.
sick.
Okay.
Yeah, it was really cool.
Okay, awesome. Well, Carter, with the rest of this fall complete now from a competition standpoint, between now and the start of the spring season, what do you want to see from this group in practice to get ready for the spring?
I mean, me personally, I would like to see us try to stay competitive. I know it's easy to just kind of get into, like, yeah, we need to take these couple, like maybe a week or so, like slow down a little bit, give us some time to regroup, focus on school a little bit, but stay competitive in practice, however we can, to just keep those competitive juices going for the match play in February.
Well, Carter Smith joining us here on This Week in Ball State Sports, talking men's golf and the Bahamas trip and Carter's season overall as a whole. I forgot to ask, did Coach Fleck go down the water slides?
He did not. He said he was going to, but we never got him out there.
Okay, well, this is his call to action
Yeah.
to next time go on the water slides. Carter, really appreciate your time here joining us, and best of luck in the spring.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
That's Carter Smith joining us here on This Week in Ball State Sports. Coming up, head coach Michael Lewis of Ball State men's basketball from the Betsy M. Ross SportsLink Studios.
They fly down the court and fly through the air.
Right to left, the shifty guard pulls up straightaway three, sinks it.
And we fly with the Cardinals.
Straightaway Trey lets it loose and buries it.
This is your home for Ball State Cardinals basketball.
Drives baseline left, he throws it off the window and it drops in.
All the action all season long is right here.
Hey, Cardinal fans, we're back inside This Week in Ball State Sports. Head basketball coach Michael Lewis joining us before the basketball season tips off. Coach, appreciate your time and love the kicks you've got rolling on here. Those are sweet.
Yeah, those are pretty strong, aren't they?
They are.
Those are good. Nice little Jordans.
They look a little too clean. I think you need to wear them a little bit more often.
break them out. Special occasions like this.
Okay, I like it. Coach, we're what, 6 days away as we record this podcast from the tip-off of this season. Like, how would you describe what's going through your mind right now when we say 6 days away?
Well, you don't want to be in my mind right now. It's not a good place to be. It's exciting because basketball season is approaching us, but just coming off of practice, I think 24, I think is what it is. We have a long way to go to become a good basketball team. I have a very strong belief in this team. I got a strong belief in the individuals. But we have some good players right now, but we're not a good team, and we got to become a good team. And it starts just with, we need to have a little better sense of urgency in how we go about things. I think if you have a better sense of urgency, your energy level is going to be higher. Our communication has to be much better, especially on the defensive end. And then offensively, we just got to have a little patience, we've kind of been up and down in our practices, which is somewhat expected, but we haven't been able to stack consecutive, like really strong days together. And when we've been able to get out and scrimmage other Division I teams, we've really struggled on the defensive end. And then offense hasn't been a problem, but until we're able to defend anybody, it's going to be hard to win games.
You mentioned the word patience. How do you teach that at this point in the season?
Well, it's early still, so you can just continue to teach and show them. Everybody's going through it. You got new guys. Everybody has new guys. It's not a Ball State issue. It's a college basketball issue. But you can't just get the ball and just put your head down and try to drive into human beings. Like, you can't run into the guys in basketball. Like, just got to have a little patience and allow things to work and kind of be able to pick and choose and read and react to when you're able to make a play. We have some guys that have some real skill. Like I said, we have good basketball players. We're not a good team, and it just takes time to gel. Obviously, not gelling quite as quickly as I would like us to, but I got to coach them better.
You talk about the talent that's on this roster. Let's start off with Peyton Sparks. He's coming back, of course, after spending a year away from Ball State. How has he re-ingrained himself into this program?
Yeah, it's been an easy transition. I think it's been easy transition because of who he is. He not only is he a good player, but he earns the respect of the guys on the practice floor because of how hard he works. And then, his ability to connect with guys off the court just because he's a good person. And I've said it over and over and over. He's everything you want in a student athlete. So happy to get the opportunity to coach him again for this last year, and just really looking forward to his growth as a player and a person, and his growth as a leader.
How about that post unit as a whole? We've seen the depth start to show a little bit. You have Peyton, you have Zane, you have Ben. What are you seeing from that group right now?
Yeah, I think Ben is maybe as improved as anybody on our roster from the time that we walked through the doors here as a coaching staff. And I think it's interesting in today's transfer world that I think Mickey and Ben are both playing the best basketball of their career. And just coincidentally, they've been here with us for 3 years and not left and transferred and things. And so, they know what our expectations are. They know how we play. They know what the accountability level is. And they're playing, like I said, their best basketball. So that stuff has been encouraging. We just got to get some others to continue to join them. They've got to be kind of expand their boundaries as far as leadership roles. Because they know they've been here, right, and they understand. And so just getting all those things to piece together with some new guys that are trying to find their way. And, you like their aggressiveness and how they attack things, but sometimes it's like, hey, man, like, you got to tone it down just a little bit. Like, it's not we got to get outside ourselves right now. We're a very we're a bunch of individuals out there, not a collective team. And we got to really improve that quickly. Otherwise, we're going to be really disappointed.
What do you do in that case to help bring that individual basis to a team?
They just keep pointing it out, keep teaching, a lot of film, a lot of coaching. Like some of these guys are, that let alone their second program, their third program, and so just them learning our terminology, our expectations. You looked out there in a scrimmage and we got, we're really good in our drill work. When we start going live and we get multiple trips up and down, we start getting fatigued. We start breaking down, and that's where your true habits come out. And when you look out there and you got 5 guys running 4 different defensive systems, and you can just see it. That's how they did it here. That's how they did it there. And you're not connected as a team, and playing a team defense and how we want to rotate and how we guard ball screens, all those things. So they haven't become habits yet. So we got to continue to work those and demand that those things come out there and continue to teach and coach. And you got to do it. You got to watch it. If they need to draw it up, we go through every different learning style that there is, trying to get these guys to understand, what we're asking them to do. And then ultimately it's their job to go out and execute.
Head Coach Michael Lewis, Ball State men's basketball, joining us on This Week in Ball State Sports on the vodcast version. Coach, on the guard side of things, what have you seen from that unit 6 days away from tip-off?
It's a deep unit. I think there's some really quality basketball players there, but we got to get them to be a unit, a team, and play together. There's a lot of Jamari Hill, very talented athlete. He's got to make the transition from junior college to college basketball. Jeremiah Hernandez played a lot of college basketball, has had success, had a great success individually at Southern Indiana. He's got to be able to bring that to a team setting here and how we want to play. Wansey's got to be able to continue to develop as a point guard. Ethan Britton Watts has got to come back from a year off.
Yeah.
Joey's a young player. He's coming from Kentucky, where he didn't get to play, and had an injury that kept him out 6 weeks here in the preseason, where he's behind. He's got to continue to you can't just force things. I think some of these guys have such expectations for themselves, which you want high expectations, but they've got to be able to calm them down. It doesn't happen overnight, and they've got to be able to put multiple days of good practice together and good reps together to be able to get what they want. They can't force it, and it doesn't just happen on game night. You're just going to go out on game night and try to force it. You're going to be, grossly disappointed. And so they just got to have a little bit of patience and trust the work that they're putting in.
You mentioned Jeremiah Hernandez coming over with that collegiate experience at Southern Indiana. We were talking to him in the summer, and he said he just wants to bring his leadership in that steady style of play. How have you seen that play out so far in practice?
Yeah, I think he can be more vocal. I think, I've really been on him since practice started, and he's responded well with demanding more of himself in the practice sessions. And he's doing that. I think, he comes in and he's willing to get uncomfortable, which, a lot of these guys aren't, but he's willing to do that. And so I think that's allowed him to grow. He's improved. He has a really good basketball IQ. He understands basketball. It's like basketball is easy for him as far as understanding concepts, rotations, where guys should be. I need him to verbalize that more to help some of the other guys.
I want to go back to something you said a few minutes ago, Mickey and Ben playing their best basketball. You talked about Ben, but on Mickey's side, what makes you say that?
Well, I think Mickey, I think he's got some real ability, and I think he's starting to understand how he can be really successful at this level. I just told him the other day, I think he can be an all-conference level defender.
Yep.
And if he does that, I think he can become an all-conference level player. If he'll be the best defender on our team. He's got great rebounding instincts, but he's got to go every time.
Yeah.
He really understands how to cut without the basketball, be a forceful cutter and do things. And then I think he can be a 40% plus three-point shooter. I said, if you do those things, you can be an all-conference level player. Now, the problem is sometimes he gets caught in trying to make too many one-on-one plays, and that's, while he has the ability to do that, it's not necessarily his strength, and it's not a strength of our teams when that happens. Now, there's going to be opportunities because he shoots it so well where there's a long closeout and he's able to drive it. But he's just not a guy that's going to do a bunch of stuff, wiggle and shake and get by guys. And so when he really plays within himself, he's a very, very good player.
So what you're saying is know your strength and use your strength.
Yeah. Just use your strengths, soar with your strengths. And like I tell them all, if you do those things, you can be an all-conference player. You don't have to do the other stuff, and stick with your strengths, because when he does that, he's a really good player for us.
Absolutely. Head Coach Michael Lewis joining us on This Week in Ball State Sports, previewing the Ball State men's basketball season. As of this recording, 6 days away until Ball State's on the road at Georgia State in the MAC Sun Belt Challenge on November 4th to open up the season. Coach, we saw a lot of Mason Jones play last year as a true freshman. What has his development been like as we're 6 days away?
Well, he's gotten stronger. I think that's helped some of his athleticism. He's starting to get a better understanding of the game, and like I said last year, man, the kid plays his ass off. We've got to get his mind to catch up with his body, and that's just part of his overall development, and he's getting a better understanding of how to play. And he just plays so hard and competes, and we just got to get him to tie that competitiveness and his effort level, get his mind thinking the game the way it needs to be thought, and be able to put himself in the right position. Sometimes he's going so hard he takes himself out of position. It's like, hey man, just calm down a step or two here. Like you're taking yourself out, you're overrunning this play, and it gets you behind. So just getting him to understand when to pick and choose, when to be more aggressive in how he plays on both ends of the court.
Aggressive style of nature for Jamari Hill. We've seen him attack downhill, defender on the wings. What are you seeing from him as a JUCO transfer that can excite Ball State fans?
Well, what he gets done in practice versus our defense is very different than what he's been able to get done against opponents' defenses. And he's just, a lot of, most junior college players that I've ever coached in my career have always gone through a transition period, and he's just, I think he's trying to force some things right now where he's just got to be able to let the game come to him. It's a different level. Like even though he was on an Elite Eight nationally junior college team, like this is a different level, and the scouting reports are going to be different. They're going to understand who he is. They're going to take away his strengths, and he's got to be able to utilize other things. Like you can't just put your head down and drive into a bunch of traffic and try to score all the time. Like you're going to have to be able to move, and he's getting better at that. When he as well as Jerry he understands basketball.
Yeah.
And he can make the right read and right play. It's just he's got to be able to allow the game to come to him.
A couple new coaches on the staff, Justin, Buzzy, and then Coach Stewart, strength and conditioning. How have they helped add to this team?
Well, Stewart, he came. I've known him for several years. Really, kind of the culture that he's developed in the weight room matches the culture that I want on our basketball court. He's made a humongous impact with our guys. Obviously, I think people are going to see some changes in us physically. And just, his mentality that he operates with in that weight room coincides with how I want to operate within our basketball program. So he's been a great addition to our staff. Buzzy and Justin have been very good and fit in seamlessly. They both bring different things to the table that I think adds to our program, and really excited to get them integrated in what we're trying to do and elevate our basketball program.
Well, Coach Lewis, before we let you go here on the podcast, is there anything else that's on your mind before we get rolling here in 6 days?
You don't want to know what's on my mind.
Well, I kind of do, though.
No, but hey, I tell you, to the fans, like obviously we're very appreciative of your support. Our first 2 years, I hope we can put a competitive product out on the court that represents this university and the community the right way. Students, I got a few things in the works for you. We got some things moving. We've had a good first 2 years as far as your attendance. We got to up it and continue to grow.
Yeah, stay tuned for the fun.
We got a couple things working, and I'm fighting battles for you daily, and we're going to get there. We're going to get there. But I do think this. Like I have like I said when we started, I have a strong belief in this team. I don't know if their belief in them right now matches my belief, and we got to get that. I think that's where some of the urgency comes from. They've been fun to work with because they're challenging to work with, and they got to be able to come together as a team and fight and raise some competitive spirit a little bit, and be able to compete when the chips are down and things get really difficult. Like, how can they stick together and fight through really difficult things? And if they're able to do that, and I got to help them through it, then they're going to have a good year. Like if we're going to fold, then we'll be like 75% of the other teams in the country. So it's an exciting time. It's been a good group to work with, and I'm excited to compete on Monday.
Hey, we'll see you in Worthen on November 8th, but basketball season starts November 4th on the road, Georgia State, Ball State Cardinals men's basketball. Coach, appreciate your time as always.
All right, thank you.
That's head coach Michael Lewis joining us on This Week in Ball State Sports. Get your tickets, ballstatesports.com. You can also call the ticket office at 888-BSU-TICKET. Thanks for watching This Week in Ball State Sports for the Betsy M. Ross Studios in SportsLink.
Thanks for listening to This Week in Ball State Sports, presented by Gainbridge. The preceding has been a Learfield presentation on the Gamebridge Ball State Cardinals Sports Network.